What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Sibling Sync, the podcast where two siblings argue, agree, and analyze the week's biggest moments in sports. I'm Jeezy, and he is.
Coach G in the building.
All right,
You know what time it is? Showtime.
showtime. I wish it was showtime for real, but it's okay. It's okay. Now, I don't know how we managed to get our colors right today, but great minds
We're
think
twinning.
alike. We're twinning.
We're twinning.
Not just twinning one way, twinning both ways.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you know
Now,
it. Gotta stay
now
hydrated.
I don't like water. I will
You
be the
don't?
first to tell you.
What?
I am your
Man,
sibling that can't stand water.
I'm drinking water all day.
But my doctor has told me I need to at least get through one of these bottles a day. So I'm
One?
trying.
Just one?
I drink none. So how about we start with baby steps?
Well,
So
okay. Well, that's a start. That's a start.
okay. Now,
I probably drink like 10 of these a day.
God Lord.
But I'm in the gym for part of the day, so that's part of it
Exactly.
too. So
Exactly.
I drinking water all day.
So
Yes.
one of these stars, because I don't consider them superstars yet.
Uh-huh.
One of these young stars is going to become a superstar at the end of the playoffs. Who you got your money on?
Ooh-wee. Wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good question. And I'm gonna have to go with Tyrese Halliburton.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I'm
think
partial. I'm partial about the West. Somehow, I don't think Minnesota or OKC would lose to the Pacers.
uh well with the way the Pacers score, I mean that team is like a well oiled machine offensively.
They
They're
are.
right now they're the second highest scoring team in the playoffs, in the postseason.
Okay.
So their only concern was their defense, and I think their defense is catching up to their offense.
Offense.
So I just love what Tyrese brings to the table. Not only his scoring, but you know the way he gets his teammates involved in the game. Making the right passes at the right time, and even his defense has picked up. So that's the kid that I see. That's gonna make a.
I,
I think he already made a name for himself, but this Eastern Conference Finals, you're gonna really see. You know,
I don't know. I watched the start of the Nuggets Thunder game
mm,
yesterday, right? And I watched the way the Nuggets came out. They came out to win. They came
early
out.
on,
They
yes,
came out early in the game to
yes,
punch them in the mouth.
yes,
And
they did.
when they punched, it was about who had the most poise down the line because they punched, and then Aaron Gordon was looking like he was Superman playing on that bad hammy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he was still rebounding, still putting back and stuff. I'm like, what's going on? This man's broke. Why are you guys trailing?
Yeah,
But then I saw SGA pick up his team and he brought everybody along.
yes,
And
he
I
did.
think that's something we've seen him do kind of. The first round was easy, okay? The first round was easy. I'm not
Yeah,
even gonna sit there and be like, oh my god. Nah, the first round was easy. But I don't know. I
So
just
so is SGA your pick for going for the one that's going from a star to a superstar, the next level?
I have a
Is that your
feeling
pick?
he is. That's my pick.
Okay, okay. I'm going with
That's
Tyrese. You going with SGA.
yep.
He's the MVP of the league, so hey,
Yeah,
you can't you,
congrats to
you,
him.
you can't go wrong there.
And nothing against the Knicks. Brunson, I still feel like they're a piece away. Not that they can't do it with what they have,
Mm,
but I feel like they don't get consistency from everybody. They don't get that player that's going to give them that 20 points every night,
yeah,
you know. And if, even if the person is not playing solid or not scoring solid, is still going to contribute in other facets of the game. I
yeah,
feel like they're missing that person. Like Ananobi has his time. Josh Hart has his time. Everybody has their time, but I haven't seen them really come in and give me a Cat game, a Brunson game, a Hart game, an Ananobi game where everybody is doing something and it just you just blow up. The
yeah.
Celtics were a shell of themselves, right? So
They were.
so to me, look, it's part of the game. Injuries are part of the game. We all know that.
Yes,
You know, it it doesn't matter. Next man up.
that's right.
But I just feel like they weren't battle tested in that round enough to yeah to say that I'm sure they're gonna go to the next round.
Well,
And then for Minnesota, as much as I love Ant,
mm, I thought that's who you was gonna go. I thought you was gonna go with the Ant Man.
as much as I love the Ant Man, I gotta see his whole team perform, and I just don't feel like uh he got some old legs around him. He got
Yeah,
he got Gobert, he's not the defensive player of the year he was a few years ago,
yeah,
and I'm just I'm like, dang, does Ant have enough to carry that whole team a 7 game series with OKC? Because the thing
that's
about OKC,
uh
they got pieces that even come off the bench that give them that edge,
true. I
and
agree.
that's kind of where I am with it.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's defense though is what really gonna have to show up in this series because if it's just a run and gun type of game where those guys scoring 120 plus points a game, the edge gonna go to OKC. OKC is just gonna outscore you. So it comes down to Minnesota's defense, and that's gonna be interesting, especially if they put what's his name, McDaniel, to guard SGA. That's the matchup that I want to see. I'm hoping coach make that adjustment and put Jaden McDaniel to guard SGA. Cause his length, I think his length is gonna bother SGA.
And his length bothered the Lakers.
It did, it
It
did,
bothered the Lakers.
it did.
So
So
you,
yes,
you may be
that's
right,
that's the matchup I want to see.
but it's going to be a good matchup. I see that series going 7.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I see that series going 7.
Yeah,
You know, Conley's another one. He's up there. He's a little long in the
yeah,
teeth. You know what I'm
he's in
saying?
his thirties.
Eh,
Yeah,
but you know what? Surprisingly, he was one of my guys. He was one of the players that when he first came on the scene, I just loved to see him play.
yep. A
The
little
way he
lefty.
facilitated the game and everything,
Correct.
definitely like that. Look, man, they have a great team. So if they come out of the West, I'm not gonna be sitting over here going, "Oh my God, whatever." But I just feel like OKC might edge them out in
Yeah,
a game seven.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yep.
Now, I have an interesting question for you.
Okay.
I know we touched on New York, and we know New York is going. I mean, first time in 25 years, and it's funny because the last time they were there, Brunson's dad
Uh huh.
was playing for the Knicks at the time. I was
That's
just
right.
like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yep.
right? But I need you to tell me who is the real Batman in Boston.
Ooh. Wow.
Because you're the defending champs,
Uh huh.
and you know one guy gets hurt, and that's it.
Wow. I mean, it pretty much comes down to Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown.
Who's Batman?
Who is the better
Who's
player?
Batman? Who is
Wow.
Batman?
That's man. That's a tough one. But wait.
Pick one, Coach G. Pick one. You got your team. You got you got you got Jason Tatum on one side. You got Jalen Brown on the other, and you got to pick. Come on, we're picking. Who you picking?
You know what? I would have to go with Jalen Brown.
Hmm.
Um, I think Tatum is a little better offensively, but I think Brown has that dog in him that I want as a coach. On my team, he's gonna give you offense. He can score. He's not a natural scorer like Jason Tatum, but he can score, right? And on top of it, he's gonna bring that dog to the game. And I
Okay.
don't see a lot of dog in Jason Tatum at times. So
So
so I would have to go with for your to answer that. I'd have to go with Jalen Brown.
okay, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna say this: you got to choose one to take the last shot. Who you trusting more with the ball in his hand?
Wow, I would have to go with Tatum.
So there you have it. So there you have it. That's who
Yeah,
Batman is. That's who Batman is.
yeah,
That guy you're going to trust with the ball in his hand because he's a natural shooter
he has a natural scorer. He is.
and he has a beautiful stroke.
He does.
And look, don't get me wrong, not a Celtics fan, but I was just listening to the debates and everybody going back and forth about the team, and by no means is Jalen Brown a scrub.
Correct.
One of the smartest people or sports guys I have seen in a long time. He's so intelligent,
Yes, he is.
and to put that with his basketball prowess is awesome. I mean, who goes through school and excels like that? Most athletes are trying to get the easiest classes so they
Yes.
can they can get
Yep.
out, right?
Yep.
I just want to pass. Give me my degree in business or basket weaving or whatever,
Whatever. Yeah.
and let me get out.
Exactly.
This man is out there doing all this intellectual stuff and whatever.
Yes.
But
Yes.
and you're right, he does have that dog in him. I just he's just not that first option for me. He, um, I look at uh, Tatum
Hmm.
consistently leads the team in scoring and usage, hence the reason he was sidelined. Too much usage.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a second. All NBA first team multiple times, guards multiple positions because he plays on both ends of the court.
Yeah.
And I just feel like he is their franchise guy. He's their anchor.
He is. He is.
Um,
No doubt.
he's the face, and Boston built around him.
That's right.
And as much as Jalen Brown is there,
Hmm.
I just don't feel like he's a first option on paper. I don't feel like he is, but he'll set the tone for you now. If he's dogging out, you
Yes.
can tell some of the others, vibe off that energy.
Absolutely.
But I just don't feel like with that push, as a leader, you don't fall out in the third quarter
Yeah.
because you have to restrain yourself. You have to find a way to stay on the court for your team.
That's right.
And
I
and I
agree.
think and
I
I think
agree.
those are some of the things that, yeah, he was playing dog and he was playing hard and he was playing because he wanted to win, but you also have to play smart. And
Yeah.
I think there it lost him because he forgot everything else that goes with playing in a team. You can't foul out.
True.
You're
True.
down a man.
Yeah. I don't think he's a number one option. I think he's more of a number two. So
Definitely a Robin.
yeah. Yeah. You're
Definitely a
right.
Robin.
You're right.
All right. All right. Here's my here's my question to you as a coach.
Okay.
Why are these NBA head coaches so freaking stubborn when it comes to their rotations, especially in the playoffs?
You know what? I have a lot of people that ask me that question. Guys in the gym. They be asking me the same question, and the only answer I can give, it comes down to trust. As a coach, you're gonna play the players that you trust, and sometimes you're very limited. You know, when it comes to that, when it comes to having, especially on the bench, when it comes to having guys that you can trust to put in the game that's going to help you win the game. So that's the only answer I can give as a coach. It comes down to trust because I've coached teams over the years where um, I've had 7 or 8 players. I have my starting five, and I have 2 or 3 good players coming off the bench. So if one of my guys in the starting five gets in foul trouble, I know I have a player I can bring in that I trust, you know, to help me win that game. So it comes down to trust. So that's why some coaches, if you remember in that Lakers game where JJ played his starting five the entire, I think it was the second half of the game,
Yeah.
he just didn't
Which game?
trust, you know, those guys on the bench.
Okay.
And to me, that's that's a detriment, man. You can't win like that. So it comes down to the general manager, bringing in the right players, you know, that the coach can trust.
So that's where I was going, right?
Yeah.
You've had you have a year with these people. However many months the season is, you're going into the you're going into the playoffs.
Hmm.
Every coach shrinks down that roster, right? So we know all 15 ain't gonna get playing time
Correct.
unless something happened to somebody. You got about three or four that are gonna sit at the end of the bench and they
Yep.
will never see the light of day. And I
e-
get it. I get it. They might as well be in street clothes because they ain't never touching that ball.
Exactly.
And I get that part. But you can't tell me you don't have a solid 10. Because I can go down the Lakers roster and I think I could find 8 or 9 players that I felt could have made a difference and given LeBron a minute to catch his legs under him,
Oh,
giving
absolutely.
Giving Luca a minute,
I
and
I
and
was.
some and sometimes even spark that thing that might go on a run.
It's two
There
players.
has to be.
Two players that I wanted to see was Vanderbilt and Dalton Connect. I wanted to see those two guys get more playing time, and for some reason, JJ just didn't trust those guys.
And you know, look, you had Jordan Goodwin, who gave you good minutes.
He's another one. Yeah.
He
Yes.
gave you good minutes.
I agree. I'd have played him more too.
Rui had gone down. You remember you had a game or two coming up into the playoffs where you weren't even sure if Rui was going to play. So
Correct.
why, as a coach, would you play Luca, Austin, Rui, LeBron, and who was the other person? Dorian Finney-Smith.
Anthony Smith. Yeah.
The whole time you have Goodwin, you have Gabe Vincent,
Yeah.
you had Vanderbilt, you had Connect. I mean, and even if you didn't want to, I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing?
I
I'm
would
missing
have played
somebody.
Jackson Hayes. I'd have played Jackson Hayes.
Jackson Hayes.
I'd have played him a
Jackson
little bit
Hayes.
more too.
You have Jackson Hayes.
Yep.
Why? Why? Are these kids not on the court? You cannot tell me you didn't trust them because they're the reason you're in the playoffs.
I know. I
And you
know.
didn't just make it to the playoffs. You made it to the playoffs as a number 4 seed. So how do you get there with them and then in the playoffs, all of a sudden, they're not good enough
Yeah.
to hang on for 2, 3 minutes to
I,
give LeBron a chance to go get some water and
look,
catch his breath.
that's been the talk in the gym every time during the Lakers series. Every time I go to the gym the next morning, that's what we're talking about. It's like JJ. I don't know what he was thinking.
But
Yeah.
it's not even JJ. I look at Mazzolo, even with the Celtics.
Uh huh.
He had cut down his roster so fine too that you're like, what what is it with them
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bringing that roster? Look, I'm not gonna touch the Nuggets coach because he was thrown into that situation
Yeah. He was.
a day,
Yep. Right
before the
before the
playoffs
playoff.
started, and
I know.
I think the first round series they just showed guts and grit, and it was a pride thing to get out of that first round, and I'm
Yeah.
not
Against the
gonna,
Clippers, I was surprised.
yeah. So it was a pride thing. They made it. They did it, and I felt like they showed heart when they played OKC. I can't
I
even.
mean, yeah, taking
They took
OKC to
them. They
seven
took
games.
they took them to 7. So I'm not even mad at him for the job he did
I
walking
agree.
into this.
I agree.
Uh, but
Yep.
but I just got to see these coaches get out of their own heads.
I know. They be overthinking.
Yeah, I got to see. They got to get out of their own heads.
Hmm. I see
And
it. I see it happen at every level.
we're gonna come back to the NBA and
Okay.
we'll talk about matchups before the start. But I want to touch on the WNBA, which started this weekend.
That's right.
And hey, I gotta give it to my Sparks. They tried something, and you know I'm not even gonna. And we won one game, lost the other. I can live with
Yeah,
that.
we lost to Minnesota at home. I wasn't
Yeah,
too I wasn't too happy about that, but still early.
still early, still early. Well, look, I have been a Sparks fan ever since they started.
Yep.
I was like, I bleed purple and gold. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna have to be purple and gold the whole way. So that's how I've been. Um,
Well,
but
Lisa Leslie ain't walking through that door.
yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at, right? Lisa Leslie ain't walking. Candace Parker ain't walking.
I know.
All the names you grew to love,
Yep.
they're not walking through that door anymore.
That's right.
And I just don't know what I expect from them this season
Yeah.
because every team I watched the Indiana Fever
Mm-hmm.
play Chicago because like everybody, I wanted to see how you know uh, Angel Reese was going to come back and how Caitlyn was going to come back for the season. And I know
Yes.
the NBA, the WNBA paired them in game one for a reason, right? So here we
Of
go.
course. Of course. Of
But
course.
but overall, they did their homework. They understood the assignment
They did.
and they made that team better around Caitlin Clark.
That's right.
And so I, I don't even know. I mean, she's efficient. She carries her team. I don't know. She has just been like, whew.
Yeah.
And
She's a
I get
talent.
it. I get it. She's a talent, and
Yes.
she, eh, in their in each their own right. There's something that Caitlin brings. There's a grit and a determination and an outspokenness that Angel brings.
Correct.
And you know, for as much as uh, Caitlin can shoot from the logo,
Mm-hmm.
Angel can out rebound probably everybody else in that gym.
True.
So they're both going to bring something different, play different positions. What did you think of the foul?
Uh, I thought. I mean, the foul was necessary, but
Why? Why?
the foul was necessary, but is
Why?
is the way is the way she went about it, to me, is what what rubbed me the wrong way, so to speak. But the foul was necessary because Angel Reese, she was about to have an easy layup. She was about to
Right.
have an easy layup. So all Caitlin had to do was, go for the strip or hit her arm, you know.
Exactly.
But the way that she fouled her is what, you know, rubbed me the
And,
wrong way.
and that's where I am with it, right? Because at the end of the day, we all know you're going to take that foul. I'm taking that foul.
Of course, and
Because
that's
because
as a
because
coach,
you are
that's
not
what we
going
preach.
you are not going to that rim.
Exactly.
You know, I'll take the foul, whatever it is.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that particular foul was I gotta show I can, and so I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I just really felt like, as much as yes, it's a basketball play because nobody leaves an undefended player just go to the rim and you're standing there. You're not going to
Correct.
stand there.
Correct.
But it wasn't a basketball play to me in how it was done,
Correct.
and um, I felt like, was it a dirty play? Did she try to take her out? No, she didn't go for her knees or her leg or try to hit her in the face and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't a basketball play in that sense because you didn't swipe for the ball. You didn't. It was just
There was a motive. You
this.
could tell there was
Yeah,
a motive.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like
Exactly.
yeah,
I watched it. I watched it on YouTube. I've played it back,
yeah,
and I'm like, just no way you could tell me that that was a natural basketball play.
yeah. There was definitely a motive behind of it, but like I said, the foul in itself was necessary
Yeah, it
to
was.
to
It
prevent
was.
Angel Reese from having an easy layup.
Yeah. So, um, the other part to that is, you spoke about it on our very first podcast when you just talked about just being people, right? Didn't matter whether you were Republican or if you were Democrat, if you were black, white, Chinese, whatever.
Correct.
And I just guess for me, sports was always just that. It was always sports. Even even in the military, um, when teams played, when you had, it was just sports. It didn't matter if you were black, white, indifferent. You represented the USA or you were representing your school or whatever.
Yeah,
It was fun.
that's right.
And I just feel like now everything has come down to like battle lines. It's the blacks versus the whites. It's the Asians versus the whites. It's the
Yeah,
whites versus whoever. And
politics.
it's just so sad that Angel Reese had to get called racial slurs at the game
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's not called for. Um, is she my most favorite player? No, but you know, dude, there's so much going on. People are dying for lesser reasons,
hmm,
and sports supposed to be a form of entertainment for us. And I'm
yeah,
just like, why would y'all take away from the beauty of the game
yes.
with the slurs? Because that's what it is for me.
It's uncalled for, plain and simple, uncalled for, and it's sad that we still have to, go through this, you know, at this
In
point in our
2025,
life.
right?
It's sad.
Yeah. Myself and my partner were talking about this, the generations and what we're expecting and stuff like that.
Mm.
And it's like we're in 2025 and we're still fighting battles that our parents fought.
Yeah,
We're still
grandparents.
fighting. Okay, we're still talking about, can my kid go to school here, or is it safe for my kid to travel over here? Uh, you know,
Yeah,
even in this day and age, will my kid get accepted because they're brown? You know, versus the other kid, and it's just crazy that Martin Luther King did all that,
yep,
and we went from marches and all that to the I Had a Dream speech and Selma and all this stuff.
yeah,
Now we can vote. Now we can drive. Now we can be not segregated in schools. And yet it's almost like we're headed back to when blacks couldn't even drink at the same fountain that the white kid was drinking at. It's literally feels like that's where we're heading back to.
yeah. Sometimes it feels like we're going backwards in time. I'm like,
It's
what's going on here?
and I think for me, sports has always been my escape from that. So it's to me
Yeah, I
hear,
mean,
hearing some of the stuff that was said, and I felt like it's one thing to you don't have to like Angel Reese.
true,
I think she'll live with herself just fine, whether you like her or not. This kid
correct.
is on this kid is on the box of Reese's peanut butter cereal. Okay, so I think she got enough endorsements and stuff. She paid off her mama's house.
Yep,
I
yep,
think. I think she's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you don't have to call the names that go with it.
yeah. That reminds me of Jackie Robinson, way back in the days.
Oh,
I just saw, actually just bought a T-shirt of a Dodgers Jackie Robinson T-shirt. Celebrating his day, which was April 15th. Um, if you can only imagine what he went through back in those days,
yeah,
I mean, and for him to still overcome all of that, to me, is like so honorable. But what's sad is that we're still going through it up to this day. You know, it's crazy. We should be, they say if you know better, you got to do better. And most people know better, but, they don't always do better.
yeah. You called
Just
it.
it's crazy.
So I wanted to touch on that. Um,
Yeah, that's
you know, I just thought that it's so funny because I feel like we should be celebrating the WNBA right now. I mean,
we should.
numbers are up,
We
numbers are
absolutely
up.
should. Yep.
You know, um, we have a season. They're not walking. They're not striking. They're not getting mad yet with each other. Maybe they'll come to terms before the end of the season.
I
And
hope they do. I hope they. I think they will. I think they will. I'm optimistic. I think they'll get a deal done.
I look. I'm sitting here going. I don't understand how they can say they can't get a deal when um they have. I watched this weekend between ESPN and some of these other channels. So many people carried the game. Hi, hello. You guys are making money somewhere.
Oh,
But
the revenue has gone up big
yes,
time,
stop paying these. Stop
and
paying
it's
these
going to
young
continue to
ladies.
go up.
Stop paying these young ladies peanuts.
I know. I agree.
That's where I'm at. And I always go
One
back
thousand
to
percent.
I always go back to Candace Parker when she got hurt playing out there in Russia, and then um, I think about Brittany Griner having to go over there to play. Now she gets arrested, you know,
Yeah, just to
and
make
all
that
that
extra money.
just to make what they think they should be making because the 100, 200,000 that they make here max is peanuts compared to what their brothers in the NBA make, and you
True.
know, so that's that.
Yep.
But we have conference finals starting tomorrow night.
Yep.
We got the top seed Thunder playing the sixth seed T Wolves, and on the other side, in the Eastern
Hmm.
Conference Finals, we got what number was Indiana? Number four.
I
Yeah,
think
we
so.
have
Yeah.
the third and the fourth seed playing each other. Now, had somebody told me it was going to be Minnesota and OKC, I would have told them no. I was for sure it was going to be the Lakers or who was the third seed? Um, it's like that it went out my head. But anyway,
Was what?
I just thought it was going to be the number one seed and the number three seed. Not Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Lakers, right? They were the
Yeah,
number
me
three
too.
seed.
Lakers
They
against
were the number three
OKC.
seed. I thought that's where we were going.
Yes,
We
me
knew
too.
Houston. We knew Houston was not battle tested enough
No,
to come out. We knew
no,
that.
no.
Everybody kind of knew that.
Correct.
They were going up against a Golden State team that, with Steph and everything, we knew they were not coming out
Yeah.
of the first round. But I did not see Minnesota, the sixth seed, playing playing OKC. Didn't see it.
Yep.
Now, you talk about something I really didn't see,
Hmm.
was nowhere in my crystal ball did I see the Knicks playing the Pacers. That right there alone for the year is enough to make me smile. The
Yeah, I know.
Knicks,
I know.
the Knicks are
Yeah,
playing the Pacers.
I think having the unpredictability is a good thing for the NBA. Instead of everybody saying, "Oh, this team is going to the finals," or that is like, it's not a given. And I,
Yeah.
I think I think that's a good thing for the NBA.
So you figure OKC, it would be their first title since relocating from Seattle.
Yeah, they should have never left Seattle in the first place, but that's a whole
Uh,
nother subject for a whole nother day.
Minnesota just want to enter the conversation of having been to an NBA Finals. They've never been.
Yeah, they was in the Western Conference Finals last year, weren't
Yeah,
they?
but they've never been to the NBA
To the final. Correct.
Finals.
Correct. Correct.
The Knicks,
Uh huh.
last time they won a championship, I
Oh, wait.
was I was still in my mother's stomach.
That's in the 70s, right? 73.
1973.
Yep.
I was born in 74.
Yep. I
They,
was a little picky nigga.
you was a little picky. Man, and then the Pacers, they never won one. And it's so funny because every time I think of the Pacers, I still see Reggie Miller. Oh my
Of
God,
course. Of
I
course.
still see Reggie Miller, and
Of course.
oh my God, I don't know. I don't know if I want the Pacers to win just because of that, right? Because I always feel like Reggie should have been. I'm just joking. Just joking. But I mean, it's just incredible to think that these teams have never won. Not one of them have won.
Yeah. Yeah.
But something I wanted to share about all four teams um, in the conference finals, um, and it's something you're going to laugh at because it always comes back to our favorite team, right?
Uh huh.
There are four players um, still in the playoffs
Uh huh.
that um, all come from the Lakers.
Four players that are still in the playoffs
Mhm.
that all came from the Lakers.
Yep.
Well, the obvious one is Julius Randle in Minnesota,
Uh huh.
Caruso in OKC,
There you go.
um, Josh
Keep
Hart,
going.
Josh Hart in New York.
Okay.
Um,
If you can get that last one,
I'm drawing a blank.
every team has one. Every team has one.
So
So
Indiana,
Indiana, the former Laker.
huh? I'm drawing a blank on this one. Help me out.
Thomas Bryant.
That's right.
He was
That's
our center
right.
for a while, right?
He was. Yeah, he was with the Lakers for I think for a year.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
I have always said that the Lakers know how to evaluate talent. They pick them. They pick them. But instead of developing them for a little
Uh,
while,
yeah,
we get into that. Let's package them and let's try and get that next big name,
yeah,
and we're bringing
yeah,
them to win. They tried it with Kobe when they brought in uh, what's his name, the mailman, and Gary Payton and stuff that year.
yeah.
They tried that.
That's right.
They tried it with Kobe.
They did.
Um, they tried it later down in his career with a couple other names, trying to pair him with with these others. It
Yeah, they
doesn't
brought in Paul
always.
Gasol. They won two
Well, Paul
championships.
Gasol was different because they brought in a Paul Gasol that was in his prime
True,
when they brought him to play with Kobe,
true.
and the team around him was a pretty decent team still.
Yes.
But as he went on, and Powell was fading and stuff, they just tried to pick and choose the best they thought. Oh, that's a big name. Let's bring him in
Yeah,
to see if it was going to work. Dwight Howard. Let's bring Dwight Howard because Kobe worked well with Powell. Let's bring in Dwight Howard and see if Dwight can rekindle the magic that he had. No, doesn't
yeah.
doesn't always work that way.
Yep.
And I think that has always plagued the Lakers.
They did it with
And
LeBron.
they've done the same thing with LeBron. Let's see which next big name is going to. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about the 2020 championship because they feel like it was in a bubble and there weren't fans and whatever.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, they had to play the games.
they did.
Whether there were fans there or not,
True,
they had to play the games.
true,
And the other teams had the same opportunity as they did. There was no, just like now, there was no difference.
true,
Everybody
true.
had to play the game. So
That's right.
I don't put an asterisk next to anything. Yeah, the season was shorter, and um, maybe the Lakers, if it had been a long season, maybe they wouldn't have gone to the playoffs. I don't know. We
Yeah,
don't know that. But at the
true.
end of the day, they were all in the bubble. All the teams had the same opportunity to not spread COVID and to be in that special place and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff like that. So I see it as a championship, and he won with Anthony Davis. Their legs were younger.
yeah,
That's 5 years ago.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I,
he was 30. He's 35.
what
He
pissed me
40.
off with Palinka is not keeping that team together.
Oh yes.
That
Oh
team,
yes.
that team had a lot of length,
Uh-huh.
a lot of toughness.
Yes.
Both mental and physical toughness.
And
And
he broke it up the
he
very
broke,
next year.
yeah, he broke the team of the following year. That's what
Yeah.
pissed me off with Palinka.
Yeah. Yes. And I've maintained that you got rid of Caruso. You got rid. I mean, it was like he just said, "Poof, let's go." You know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
Julius Randall, I've always thought was a good player. Um, and he went to New York, and we saw it last year. We saw that specialty that he had in him, and it's come out because it's about fit, right? And he fit right in with thing. But Josh Hart always had that dog in him.
yes,
Even when he played for the Lakers,
yes,
he had that dog in him.
yep, yep. He's a little um as far as offensively, he's not a natural talent as far as offense,
Yeah, but
but
you don't
all the
always
other
need that
stuff,
defense.
all the other stuff that he brings to the game
Exactly.
helps you win.
Yes.
And you need guys like that on your team.
And um it's funny because there's somebody I didn't mention. So I'm going to mention them now.
Who that?
Jaden McDaniels, all right,
From
on your
Minnesota.
Minnesota, on your
Yeah.
Minnesota team,
Yes.
was actually drafted by the Lakers in 2020.
Oh, he was.
Yes,
I didn't
he
know that.
was then traded
Wow.
shortly after and has become now a stalwart
Man, I love
out there
his
for.
game. I love his game.
Lakers can evaluate talent. Their scouts have been doing it for a while.
I didn't know the Lakers drafted
They see
Jaden
it. Yeah, look it up.
Wow. So
They
that's under the Pelinka regime.
still, yeah,
Man,
yeah.
Rob Pelinka continues to piss me off.
Look, I just found it. Look, there is a whole story today. I didn't even see this on NBA analysis. Five players the Lakers let go who will now compete in the 2025 conference finals. Now, I'd just seen a picture of the four, but I had already been counting,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, Josh Hart, Randall, and I was already going to Caruso, and um, I was like, and I had forgotten about Bryant, and then I saw the picture, and I was like, four, where's that fourth person?
Yeah.
And then in just reading up today, I'm like, hold up, they drafted, and sure as it,
Wow.
yep. Uh,
That's yeah.
it's it's funny. I forgot Caruso actually won in the bubble,
That's right. Yeah, he was part of
so
that defense,
he was
man.
part of
Him
the
and
bubble.
KCP brought that dog
Yep,
to the game on the
yep.
perimeter. They yeah. Yeah.
He was McDaniel's was the 28th overall pick
Uh-huh.
in 2020, which is about right because the Lakers won, so they obviously had the last one of the last picks.
Yes.
So he was the 28th overall pick. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy.
he was on the night of the draft. McDaniels was traded to the Thunder, and then a couple of days later, they sent him in a package to the Timberwolves.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and Julius Randle's stats has been nothing but better since he left. He's now averaging 21.8 points per game, 9.3 rebounds,
Oh
and
yeah. He's the
four
second best
assists.
player.
I mean, then, you
And
know,
and on some nights he plays like their best player.
their best player. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I, I, I truly hope that when they, um, when they evaluate this year, they find another Dalton Connect that comes falls to them at 17. And Alex Caruso, who you know,
Mm.
I feel like injury has plagued Caruso when he played in Chicago because he got hurt,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Um, but he has been solid for OKC off the bench.
Absolutely.
Can't even say anything about that. He has been solid off the bench,
Yep.
and I always liked him. But I'm just like, look, this this kid, just like um, just like any other one, just you was so unexpected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who thought that Alex Caruso was going to ball out?
I know, right?
I mean, Hell, even now sometimes I wonder if why how Austin Reeves balls out. Because they just look so just like, yeah, there's no way you play basketball for a living.
Yeah.
But
Now Caruso,
he's
he's a tough kid, man. He's
yes,
a tough kid.
and I just don't understand how the Lakers always get them and let them slip through their fingers.
Well, part of it is LeBron, right? The LeBron factor. He won.
Well, Julius Randle was the Kobe factor, but
Yeah, yeah.
he Kobe didn't he liked him, but he didn't see that dog in him at the
He was
time.
young.
And you know how Kobe was. If you weren't
Yeah,
with the Mamba mentality, you were not going anywhere. And they got rid of him in in,
yeah.
in
Julius, he was young.
14,
He had,
15,
I mean, he
whatever.
was a
Yeah,
rookie in the league at the time. So
yeah,
yeah, I remember I went to his first game. Me and some of the
yeah,
coaches. I was coaching at the high school at the time, and me and like three or four other coaches. We went to watch the Lakers play. It was against the Houston Rockets. His first game, he hurt himself. I think he hurt his foot.
yeah,
Like the game had just started, and he was out. I think like for the rest of the season, if I remember correctly. But we
yeah,
see him put in the work, and to get where to where he's at now, his confidence is at an all time high. He's playing the game, with so much confidence now, and he's shooting the three. So yeah, he's tough. He'll play bully ball with you in the paint, and if you leave him open at the 3 point line, he's knocking down the three. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm proud of him, man. See him elevate his game over the years.
All right, I'm gonna give you the floor. It's all yours.
Uh oh.
Tell us what's on your
Oh
mind.
no. Well, I got a beef. Got a beef to pick with someone in the NBA. I got a beef with the Ant Man, Anthony Edwards. Got a beef with you, young buck. So, welcome to another episode of Just My Thoughts, just what I'm feeling at the time, presented to you by Genius Minds. And my beef today is with Anthony Edwards. As a coach, I've been coaching basketball out here in California for over 20 years. And I've heard a lot of, talk, interviews. I've seen a lot of interviews with coaches and players over the years. And sometimes some of them just rub me the wrong way. And this time it's Anthony Edwards rubbing me the wrong way. The Ant Man. And I'll tell you why. So Anthony Edwards had a press conference. I think this was during the Lakers series. After one of the games, he had a press conference, and the person that was interviewing him asked him, "Don't quote me on this, but something to the effect of, how do how do you feel about being the face of the league, the face of the NBA?" And he gave a very condescending answer, like I don't care. It's not my thing. I don't care what I'm the face of the league. I'm not, that's it's like he didn't want to accept the fact that, hey, you're Anthony Edwards, you're, you know, one of the top five players in the league, and here's an opportunity for you to be the face of the league, and you're acting like it's like whatever. And as a coach, as a fan, as someone that, studied the history of the game, you know, remembering, you know, back in the 80s, with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, you know, being the face of the league. And then they passed the torch to Michael Jordan, who became the face of the league and embraced it. You know, after Jordan, we had Kobe, who was the face of the league. After Kobe was LeBron. These guys accepted it. They felt honored that they were in that position to be the face of the league, the face of the NBA. And here comes the Ant Man, acting like, that rubbed me the wrong way. So, Mr. Anthony Edwards, you have kids that looks up to you. They want to be the next Ant Man, you know? So you should try to uplift them. You being the face of the league uplifts them. Uplift these kids that look up to you. So embrace it. Embrace it. Feel honored to be the face of the NBA. So my beef is with the Ant-Man, the young buck, coming straight from Coach G. I got nothing but love for you, Ant-Man, but these are just my thoughts. That's what I'm feeling at the time. You know what I mean?
Oh boy, not
I had to
the
go on the
Ant
Ant-Man
Man.
tonight.
You came for the Ant Man. You came for the
I couldn't
Ant
help
Man
it.
tonight.
That press conference rubbed me the wrong way.
And well, surprisingly, it's his second one
Oh,
that
for
he has
real?
said that. Yes, so he actually said it during
Oh,
the
I missed
season.
that one.
Um, yes, so he said it in the season, and they asked him about becoming the face, and again, he blew it off. And a lot of people, some took his side. Even LeBron was kind of like, "Yeah, why would you want to do it? Because of all the stuff that come with it,
Yeah,
whatever." And I think for me, the thing that has always bothered me about NBA players mainly, not really footballers, not really soccer players, um, and I'm gonna call
mm.
it soccer since we got American listeners, so
Uh-huh.
I call it soccer. Um, uh, the NBA players are very touchy when you criticize
Yes,
them, good, bad, or indifferent, and it's not even me and you sitting here talking. We haven't talked about LeBron's personal life. We haven't talked about arrests. We ain't talking about how many kids they got. We haven't talked about
true.
anything about that, right? But if we came on here and said, and just like you just said, Ant Man, my beef is with you for saying that. Oh, what does he know? He's just,
Yeah,
this talking head and
yep,
blah 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 blah. And they get all defensive
they
about it.
do.
And I think that's where I've always had a problem with these NBA players. I'm like,
Yeah,
why are you
they
all
get
so
in their
soft?
feelings real quick.
Why do you guys get in your feelings before somebody says
I know.
anything about about your game or anything like that? It's like last week. I can't remember what Acho said. Um, but he said something about the series and whatever. And here comes Kevin Durant
Uh huh.
jumping in. And look, I'm going to sit here and tell you, is Kevin Durant an NBA champion? Yes. Is he damn good at what he did? Yes.
Yep.
Is he soft when it comes to criticism? Yes. Because I sit here and watch Stephen A. every day talk about how Kevin is this and Kevin is that, and how he's one of the best shooters and the best scorers. My bad, it's different. He calls him the best
Yeah.
scorer there is, and all that. But boy, let him say Kevin did X, Y, and Z wrong, and all of a sudden, what he know? He's just a talking
Uh
head
huh.
for ESPN. He's doing this for clicks. They're
Yes.
doing this
Yes.
for that.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, that has been my biggest beef with the NBA. And so for me, you know, Kobe may not have been the most
Uh.
likable person out there with some of the things, but he never once shied away from the spotlight, and he never once, especially after everything that happened in
Yeah.
Colorado, he took that as a pivot point
That's
and he
right.
grew.
That's right.
And all these endorsements
Mm-hmm.
that he lost, by the end of his career,
Yeah.
he had them all back. He never lost his Nike sponsorship. And Kobe was Kobe, and he never shied away from the spotlight or
That's right.
everything being on him. And I watched LeBron, and it's like he wants the stuff that comes with being the best, but it's always
Yeah.
controversy. And I don't know how to explain the passive aggressiveness. I think for me with LeBron is at least Kevin Durant will say what he says, whether it's here or there,
True.
and you may not
True.
like it. That's one thing. But with LeBron, it's always been, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna give you these vague
Yeah.
responses, and then when anybody says anything about me
Yeah.
now, I'm gonna give this passive aggressive. I'm just over that right now. I just really want to see them play. And Ant Man, look, dude, you're a millionaire. There are kids out there that just want to make a
That's
quarter of
right.
what you make so that they can
Yep.
help a family or
Yep.
whatever. Don't sell yourself short. You
Exactly.
know, being the face of the NBA is not the worst thing that could
I
happen
know.
to you in life. So just embrace it. Take the criticism that goes with it, because as long as you're a superstar in the NBA, there's gonna come criticism's gonna come. May not come
Yeah.
from the people you like, but
Yes.
it will come.
Yes.
So
That's part of it. That's part of being an
yeah.
athlete playing at the highest level.
So before we leave, shout out to Dane Larting and Nina Tor, our first, the official first two who downloaded and saved
Oh,
the
nice.
podcast. Yeah. Um,
Get the information so I can send them some
bad plug.
gears.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know the information because
Oh,
one's my brother
okay.
and the other happens to be my son's
Oh,
best
nice.
friend's mom. Who I was just the day I was just like, hey, you gotta listen to my podcast because he was over there, and she was like, well, just send it to me and I'll listen when I'm
Nice.
going to work tomorrow. I sent it to her. She downloaded it, and she's been listening to us. And in fact, I uploaded three, and I thought I had done it
Uh,
on YouTube also, but I only did it on um, our podcast feed, not the
oh,
YouTube feed. So she called me up and said, by the way, you're missing. And I was like, how? And so I go in and look, and she was one of the first two people who downloaded our podcast. So the top three happens to be my two siblings and Miss Nina, who happened to be the very first
okay.
person. So
Cause I,
there you go.
huh. Well, tell her thank you.
I will. I will.
Appreciate it.
Um, yeah, I got to find her cousin because he gave me a hard time uh, when I told him I was going to do a podcast and started quizzing me
Uh
on the Lakers and all this other stuff. So, in fact, um, I went to a birthday party right before this
okay.
playoff was about to start, and I was wearing a Lakers shirt and some Lakers shoes, actually some Snoop
Yeah,
Dogg Skechers
yeah,
slip-ons, which happen to be purple
yeah.
and gold. So I get there and everything, and the guy's like, "What you know about the Lakers?" And I said, "Man, I'm the Lakers since back in Magic." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever, whatever." So he's questioning me. I said, "Look, I'm a Laker fan, even when we had Nick Van Axel and
Yep.
Eddie Jones." Okay, he was like, "Okay, well, that's it. You're good. You, we're not going any further." I was like, "Those were the worst years. Those were the struggle years because I did not like
I know.
Nick Van Exel on the Lakers to
Yep.
save my life." And so, yeah, so I got quizzed before we even started here because everybody, for some reason, I guess, didn't think I was a true
Yeah.
Laker fan to even come on here and talk about
Right.
basketball. So, uh, yeah, so I guess she kind of knew, so she downloaded it so she could send it to him, I guess. But she listened since then, so I was like, well, damn, I guess I need to make sure I get her a shout out and
Yeah.
get her a
Tell her to
T-shirt.
tell a friend to tell a friend.
Exactly, exactly. All right, man. And with that, everyone, thank you again for joining, for subscribing. We're up to 20 subscribers now. Thank you to all those of you who subscribed. Appreciate you for your downloads. Um, and this is Jeezy signing
We
off.
appreciate you, every single one of you. Coach G in the building. We're signing out. Peace and love.
All right.